Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali. I am attorney Zulu Ali with the Justice Watch crew, Rosa Nunez, Michael Bilal Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, Paulina Hilla, and Andrea Rodeman. This week, like every week, we'll be discussing critical legal and social justice issues that are impacting our community. Joining us today is a very, very special guest. It is attorney Sadaya Kareem. Sister Kareem has been a member of the Texas Bar since April 2002. After graduating from Texas A&M in 1997, she went on to receive her Juris Doctorate from Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University in 2001. Upon graduation from law school, she did not immediately start practicing law, but instead enhanced her career working in politics and social activism. Sister Kareem served as the immigration liaison for Congressman Sheila Jackson Lee from 1999 to 2001. She worked for United States President Bill Clinton on his advance team in 1998 and served as a chief of staff for Council member Carol G. Robinson at Large, position 5, from 2001 to 2004. Attorney Kareem also worked as a visiting professor for the Barbara Jordan School of Public Policy for Texas Southern University from 2004 to 2006, teaching undergraduate law-related classes. In 2004, she opened the law offices of Sadaya Kareem and has passionately been working ever since as a criminal defense attorney, specializing in the litigation of misdemeanors and felonies, both in the state and federal level. She is known for her legal community as the godly warrior lawyer. Sister Sadaya has been a community activist and a freedom fighter since the age of 15. Her message on social justice, female empowerment, and the power of storytelling is influenced by her childhood, where she grew up in the inner city of Houston, raised by a single parent foster mother who dedicated her life towards bringing positive change to her community. Sister Sadaya is currently the board president for Action CDC, accepting challenges to improve our neighborhoods Community Development Corporation, co-founder and president of Striving in Society to Achieve Sisterhood, and board member of Respect Incorporated. After Minister Louis Farrakhan's speech, Save Our Girls, in April 2015, Sister Sadaya joined forces with four other powerful women to help found Queendom Come Incorporated. QCI is a nonprofit organization with its mission and purpose to empower and elevate the female to live her purpose on purpose and grace and excellence as the queen that she is. Sister Sadaya is a frequent commentator on Houston's Fox 26, the Isaiah Factor, and the Africa Diaspora News channel on YouTube, which has over 1 million subscribers, speaking on issues pertaining to justice and the Black woman. Sister Sadaya is the author of Saving Humanity, a mother-to-be practical guide on the purposeful co-creation of a savior, and Know Your Rights, Surviving Police Stops. Sister Sadaya is a registered member of the Nation of Islam, Muhammad's Mosque number 45 in Houston, Texas. She is also the devoted wife of Brother Kasala Kareem and the proud mother of 7, 4 girls, and 3 boys. So it's an honor, privilege, and pleasure to have you back on our show, Sister Sadaya.
Thank you, Brother Zulu. It is an honor to be here.
All right.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
All right. So yeah, on our topic today, of course, we're going to talk about the shortage of Black lawyers in the United States and it being a crisis. And so I just kind of want to, just to kind of put put this in perspective, I kind of want to first start on, the issue and why does it actually matter. So one of the things that I was looking at is some statistics that came out of the, first of all, with the New York District Attorney's Office. It said that it found that defendants are 19% more likely than white defendants to be offered plea deals that included jail or prison time. And that Black people charged with misdemeanor offenses or drug offenses were also more likely than white people to be held in jail or prison at their arraignment. Also in 2012, African Americans and Hispanic accounted for 58% of those in prison for drug offenses, and that although in New York, not 75% of the prosecutors are white, nationwide it's actually 95%. and only 6% of the prosecutors um, are black. Also, we all remember the issue in Ferguson, Missouri, where there's although there's a black majority in Ferguson, 6% of the police force is black. And at the time of Brown's killing in August, the number of black attorneys in Ferguson was zero.
Mm.
And according to the Missouri Bar, which lists only 4 white attorneys for the city's 14,000 black residents, they issued 92% of the city warrants were issued to black residents, and 95% received jail sentences. Now, according to the ABA, 88% of all lawyers are white and only 4.8% are black. So, for each of the 60,864 black lawyers, there were 686 black citizens needing assistance, compared with only 282 white citizens for each of the 1,172,118 white lawyers. And it also goes into the criminal justice system, where it says 1 in 15 black men is incarcerated compared to 1 in 106 white men. Uh, so that's just, I mean, it goes on and on and on. I mean, even from the perspective of African Americans are it says criminal cases aren't the only ones in which black people are disadvantaged. Several studies reveal that African Americans suffer worse legal outcomes than their white counterparts, even in civil cases. African Americans are 2.5 times more likely than white plaintiffs to file employment discrimination, but have significantly worse litigation outcomes. It even goes into bankruptcy, where it says that researchers found that even after controlling for financial, demographic, and other factors, lawyers, in part because of biases, were disproportionately steering black people into Chapter 13 instead of which is more onerous and costly form of consumer bankruptcy, and more white people, they led towards the less onerous Chapter 7. So I mean, this goes on and on. I mean, can you imagine 4.8%? That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. When you talked about the 2020 numbers, I believe the number is 1,352,000 lawyers in America. And of that, 68,000 plus are African American.
Wow.
And then let's just talk about the subgroup of black women. We're even less in that.
Right.
So it is a staggering number, but I'm not surprised,
Right.
because that number is based on and built on a system of white supremacy.
Right.
And so, it was never meant for black attorneys or black individuals to be in this profession, which really was one of the founding professions that helped establish America.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and what's crazy also about the numbers is that it only, we're talking there, but it begins from, the law school admissions. There's a disproportionate amount of African Americans that are admitted. There's a disproportionate amount when it comes to our attrition rate. There's actually, like here in California, the bar pass rate is, at least, let's just say in February of 2020, the pass rate for black people was 5%. And the pass rate for white Americans was 51.7%.
Wow. And that's very similar here in Texas as well. Our African American law school, had dismal bar passage rates versus the white school.
Wow. And
so
then
it's very reflective.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the issue of once you become an attorney, the employment rate. I mean, obviously, black attorneys are less likely to be employed. And I got so many numbers here, I can't even keep up with them. I got papers all over the place.
It's like, how do you decipher it?
Exactly. And they're saying
but the reality is the numbers just tell the story.
Right.
That is the profession that does not want us.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. And then it says that California black attorneys are 3 times more likely to be disciplined than white lawyers.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just across the board, with the numbers. So, I mean, I guess the first question is that people want to ask is, I mean, why does it matter?
It absolutely matters. And let me say this, Brother Zulu, Attorney Zulu Ali, thank you for this platform, because as an attorney, you're using your profession to serve humanity, and being able to shine a spotlight on such a topic as this. You know that we are anomalies in our community. And I say anomaly because there are some Black individuals with bar licenses, but how many can you say are actually using it to help lift up our community? Right. So when you talk about, is it necessary to have representation as it concerns African Americans? 13% of the country is Black. Right. But when you have a staggering number that's less than 5%, then that ought to let you know that we are not getting the representation that we need. And those who are administering justice built on a white supremacist platform are not going to give us the justice that we need in the judicial process. So you're going to see the numbers with the bankruptcy. You're going to see the numbers as it concerns the prison population at 40% African Americans in America. You're going to see the
radio show but have no idea where to start? Or have you been hosting a podcast for a while and want to take it to the next level? If so, you need the Gab Radio Network. To host a show on the Gab Radio Network, all you need is your voice, and we'll handle the rest, from technical engineering to full-service audio production and much more. Every show on the Gab Radio Network can be heard on our station on the TuneIn Radio app. Plus, we put all of our shows on our satellite, which is accessed by over 5,500 stations. And here's the best part. You can host from anywhere you want. There are many means to connect to the Gab Radio Network remotely, and our staff of highly trained engineers and producers will make you sound like you're right here in studio. So, if you want to be on the Gab Radio Network, the same network that hosts the Small Business Advocate, Radio MD, and The Federalist, send an email right now to sales@gabradionetwork.com. That's sales@gabradionetwork.com.
Nubian Pictures presents a CCM Films production documentary entitled Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. This emotional and strong documentary tells the story of African-American lawyer Zulu Ali seeking justice and his purpose as a lawyer while crossing paths with Araceli, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico who is seeking her freedom. Together, they help discover their purpose and freedom in each other. Watch this incredible film today from iTunes Movies, YouTube Movies, Amazon Prime, and Google Play Movies. Learn about the cast and crew, links to purchase, and more at purposeandfreedommovie.com. Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. Available now. Rated G.
I did not feel safe. That's why I decided to come to California, because I didn't feel safe in Mexico.
It's kind of like the system, and if you go outside the system, then it becomes a struggle.
Are you an immigrant seeking defense representation and are looking to protect your rights? Or maybe someone who is experiencing an injustice or discrimination and need a lawyer you can trust? Well, that's exactly why you need the help of award-winning trial lawyer Zulu Ali. The law offices of Zulu Ali provides immigration defense representation for those seeking justice and looking to protect their rights. If you or a loved one needs professional legal advice and representation, then contact Zulu Ali. Zulu Ali's firm focuses on criminal law, family law, civil and personal injury, and international law. Zulu Ali is a former police officer and U.S. Marine, so you know you're in good hands. Serving all of California and immigration cases nationwide, representing victims and suspects at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Call Zulu Ali today at 888-682-3049 or visit ZuluAliLaw.com.
Welcome back to the Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali and the Justice Watch crew and our special guest, Sister Sadaya Kareem, attorney Sister Sadaya Kareem, where we're continuing with our discussion. Now, I think you had a question, Bilal, that you wanted to ask. I want you to go ahead and.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, sister. Can she hear me?
Can you hear us?
Walaikum salam, Brother Bilal. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had a question. Okay, I remember a time where I brought a youth to Brother Zulu's office at one particular time, and that youth actually pulled me to the side, and he kind of expressed himself as though he had never seen a black attorney before, and it shocked me that he actually said that. But I think that many of our youth probably feel that same way unless they come across a news feed or something where somebody like Benjamin Crump or some black attorney represent some clients at a high profile case. And a lot of our youth are pursue other careers such as basketball, rapping, and things of that nature, because I think it's one of those things where it's pushed out in the forefront. And because there's a lack of black attorneys, I mean, it is evident that, it's not being promoted like basketball or rapping and stuff like that. What can we do in order to, uh, convey this message and push it out to our youth that they can pursue careers like this, other than what they typically see every day being pushed at them?
Well, I hold that responsibility on us, meaning on the blacks, on black lawyers. And when it's a prestigious honor to be a part of the bar. The difficulty factor that was involved in the 12 years of high school, secondary school, then we go to college, then law school. I mean, that's an arduous journey, and it was a difficulty factor, but it didn't happen in a vacuum. So as an attorney, we have a responsibility to go back into the community and become integrative into the community, because we cannot rise above our conditions by ourselves. And so when you look at, the amount of attorneys, black attorneys in firms and governmental organizations, the number is so staggeringly small, is because the mentorship program is not there for us to stay. And when we get there, we deal with the pressures and the harassment and the discrimination and disparate treatment. We end up leaving. That's why the numbers are so small. And there's a lack of mentorship for us. So we have a responsibility to get back in that community, that which brought us up, and to engage in our community. And so we do have to be community minded. Me, for example, I was 10 when I made a decision to be a lawyer. And the only reason why that came across is because I had a connection and contact at that age dealing with the judicial process. So from that moment, I made a decision that I wanted to be a lawyer. School that I went to had what you call a mock trial, moot court competition. And I had the opportunity, our class had the opportunity to go to an actual courthouse and to interact. And so, as a community advocate, as a community lawyer, what I've done is go into my children's school and schools, African-American schools, urban cities, and I volunteer my services and do what's called Law Day. Some of the black judges I know, I ask them, can I bring these students and bring the classrooms to your courtroom so they can see firsthand, outside of on TV, what it's like to administer justice and be a part of the process. And when they go, I mean, their whole world is opened up. And because they see somebody that reflects them, then the idea that it's so far-fetched or it's out of reach, it kind of just fades. And they know by dealing directly with the judges and the prosecutors, having that representation, then that is a dream, that's a possibility for them to be able to serve in that capacity. So we all have a responsibility, a part of the bar, to connect and go back to where we came from.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really important. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I know that, you mentioned that once you're, into that position, I mean, oftentimes we have people in our communities that come from our community that do not take the opportunity to go back and try to mentor other individuals. The way that I first became interested in becoming an attorney, there was an attorney by the name of Avon Williams, who was actually a well-known civil rights attorney back during the civil rights era. And, he was, people were so proud. What I like, my grandfather, really, it made him feel so good. You could tell that basically seeing somebody in that position and knowing that you had somebody in that position just made him feel, so good, and made him feel so proud. They used to talk about how people in Nashville, Tennessee used to go just to the courthouse just to see this man, just to go into court. I mean, that's how much of an anomaly he was. And people don't know this, but he was put in jail 3 times for, it's written for not kowtowing to a judge. And so, those type of men who were willing to not only just be attorneys, but to actually, use it for, our people. That I think that sometimes that's the thing that people miss. I mean, a lot of times you can become an attorney, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to do, anything, necessarily that's going to benefit, your people. And when you do so, and if you do so in a very aggressive way, then, you can have a target on your back.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. For me, I didn't have a person as a young person, as a mentor, but I would always see Barbara Jordan. Right. She was my shero. Mm-hmm. And then as I got older, there were people coming into the Nation of Islam. I had Sister Dr. Ava Muhammad, mm-hmm. who is the national spokesperson for the Mr. Farrakhan. But when you see her as an attorney, plus as a spokesperson, a mother and a wife, doing what she does on the national level. And then recently, within the past 5 years, I had a great mentor by the name of Saad Muhammad, who I worked with him, and to see his expertise and his unflinching advocacy. We had a case in Michigan where a brother was killed, and it was 7 defendants, but it was just us. And it was really just the two of us really advocating for this brother. Mm-hmm. But the level of, I guess, divine guidance that he would have, because we got to talk about spirituality and the law at the same time. And knowing that he was backed by universal law and seeing him, just be unflinching, it kind of gave me more confidence, certainty in my fortitude to be able to walk out there in the community and advocate for my clients and not care what others think. Because at the end of the day, I get to go home, but it's the freedom of my client that I am most, worried about and most concerned about. And so, I never, I clerked at a law firm where it had over 300, members, but I knew that that was not my place at that time. And I knew that my place was working directly for the people, not just writing a bunch of briefs, because I'm an excellent researcher, I'm an excellent writer, but I needed to be an excellent litigator and advocator for my client. And when we go to Harris County and Fort Bend County and here in Texas, I look and I see the majority are African Americans, Hispanics, with very little representation that looks like them. Right. So, I am that godly warrior lawyer. Right. But I know that I go in there knowing that I have the backing of God, and I'm unflinching when it comes to the advocacy of my people.
Right. I mean, what's interesting, and, when you look at why it matters, is that, and this is not to say that there are not white lawyers that can advocate for Black clients. Mm-hmm. But I can just tell you that, in my position, I have many different lawyers that work for me. And when I say many, it's not that many, it's a handful. And oftentimes there's, the one thing that's most important about an attorney, at being a litigator, is the passion. And what I see is that the passion in the lawyer dictates how he's going to advocate for you. And oftentimes, I've had attorneys actually come out and relate to me that, they can't relate to that, because they don't understand, as I'm trying to explain what this person is going through. And so it does make a difference, because our reality is different than some other people's reality. And you have to be able to relate to the client. That's why it's so important. But at any rate, please do not touch that dial. We'll be back with Justice Watch on the other side of the break.
Need some get back. Pay back.
There's a new nationally syndicated radio program that's sweeping the nation, and you don't want to miss it. Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali, the voice of justice for the people. The focus of Justice Watch is to provide an honest analysis and viable solutions to the criminal and social justice crisis in America and the world from a Black, brown, working class, and socially disadvantaged perspective, and to motivate listeners to be informed and part of the solution. Zulu Ali is joined by the Justice Crew, consisting of Rosa Nunez, Michael Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, and Charito Ali, to tackle the most pressing issues. Host Attorney Zulu Ali is a former police officer, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and an award-winning trial lawyer who focuses on representing persons accused of crimes, immigrants, victims of discrimination, and persons seeking civil justice. Find out how to listen to Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali at justicewatchradio.com. Nubian Pictures presents a CCM Films production documentary entitled Purpose and Freedom. Keep Your Hand on the Plow. This emotional and strong documentary tells the story of African-American lawyer Zulu Ali seeking justice and his purpose as a lawyer while crossing paths with Araceli, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico who is seeking her freedom. Together, they help discover their purpose and freedom in each other. Watch this incredible film today from iTunes Movies, YouTube Movies, Amazon Prime, and Google Play Movies. Learn about the cast and crew, links to purchase, and more at purposeandfreedommovie.com. Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. Available now. Rated G.
I did not feel safe. That's why I decided to come to California, because I didn't feel safe in Mexico.
It's kind of like the system, and if you go outside the system, then it becomes a struggle.
Are you an immigrant seeking defense representation and are looking to protect your rights? Or maybe someone who is experiencing an injustice or discrimination and need a lawyer you can trust? Well, that's exactly why you need the help of award-winning trial lawyer Zulu Ali. The law offices of Zulu Ali provides immigration defense representation for those seeking justice and looking to protect their rights. If you or a loved one needs professional legal advice and representation, then contact Zulu Ali. Zulu Ali's firm focuses on criminal law, family law, civil and personal injury, and international law. Zulu Ali is a former police officer and U.S. Marine, so you know you're in good hands, serving all of California and immigration cases nationwide, representing victims and suspects at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Call Zulu Ali today at 888-682-3049 or visit ZuluAliLaw.com.
Working to end mass incarceration.
Welcome back to Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali and the Justice Watch crew and our very, very special guest, Sister Sadaya Kareem, where we're talking about the issue and crisis that we have with the shortage of black lawyers. And so, obviously the number one, whenever we do this, we're trying to, and you gave an excellent answer about putting it on the lawyers who are in our communities to go back and try to pull individuals into the profession or make them interested in the profession. And so one of the questions that Bilal asked me during the break is that, do you think there's a fear factor in our community of those not wanting to pursue the profession?
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that he who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes the circumference of your activity. So when we go to law school, we're taught that particular education. And that education is really not for us to go out in our community and to connect and to integrate with our community to bring justice. But most times, even in my law school, as a Black law school, I remember, we were all vying for some type of clerkship in a white firm, as opposed to either putting up our own, shield or going into some type of public sector to help our people. And so these, coveted positions as an associate in these firms, we think that the ice is colder there, right, which is not the reality. And so when we get out of that mindset, that this is the education of the white man, we got to get out of that mindset that is going to be able to pull us up from our bootstraps. Because most times when I'm going down there, even some of my brothers and sisters, I see that when they're representing, it's not really trying to help, but it's a paycheck.
Right.
Which is disheartening because, again, we can do our own people disservice, but it's a mentality, and we have to change that mentality and realize that we cannot excel and come up out of our own condition as a people unless we come together collectively in our unity. So the onus is on us. Right. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we cannot expect others to do for us what we must do for ourselves. Right. We will suffer the consequences, and that 5% is the consequence of that action.
Right. Yeah, I could. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, and you're right. I mean, when it comes to, um, even in our community, I can tell you that I've, to be honest, it's very difficult as a black lawyer to find black attorneys to work for me. It's not that easy, um, because they may feel that, working at a firm that caters to more, at least in their trained and uneducated mind, uh, brings them more prestige. And so, because my clientele tends to be, you know which in my mind are, the greatest of all people.
Right.
But in some people's mind, because we've been, tricked, they believe that representing someone because they come from a, they believe in so-called high-end clients. So I have people that, get an education, they want to make more money, so they want to go and work for a larger firm, or, work for the, and it's okay to work for the DA's office. I mean, all that is fine. But I think, and we do need obviously individuals in our community in the district attorney's office for sure. But uh, that's that's how they feel, and it makes it difficult when we get some of our bright people who are unable to necessarily work for, a black lawyer named Zulu Ali.
And we
So
need many more Zulu Alis out there.
Yes.
So we got to duplicate yourself.
yeah,
And those who are
no,
willing, we got to start with them.
yeah, yeah, it's difficult, and oftentimes, I mean, as you know, I mean, it's a fight. I mean, you got to fight these people, and you know, a lot of our people are getting sold out.
And
You
we're
know,
selling ourselves out.
absolutely, absolutely. And so, trying to do what it takes to try to motivate individuals to come in. I mean, people like you who, especially we need more, black women to come into the profession, because I mean that, as you stated in the very beginning, I mean that's an anomaly within itself. I mean, and that was one of the things that, I believe that my daughter, like yourself, I think one of the first people that inspired her was Sister Ava Muhammad. Because I remember I used to have a lot of literature about her, and actually as I got older and decided, because this is a second profession for me actually, and once I got into the profession, she was one of the people that, to be quite honest, that I actually looked to, as far as, an I guess say idol actually. So, when you got sisters like yourself, and sister like, because I have four daughters, two of which one is an attorney and one is aspiring to be an attorney. And when you have sisters like you, I mean that makes a big difference, because I think Avon, like I talked about Avon Williams earlier. I mean, just doing it and doing it in a way that is beneficial to the community. Um, you touch people, and I think that's important. You might not think what, when you're struggling and somebody's watching you, and you may not, I was so blown away today when I was looking at my Gmail, and someone sent me a letter and said, I mean, sent me an email and said that I was their idol, and I thought it was a joke. So I looked up their name, and it's a sister in Louisiana that had my picture, and across of it on her Facebook page, she said, "Zulu Ali is my idol."
Wow.
I almost started crying.
Praise be to Allah.
Wow.
And she said she was in high school and she wanted to be an attorney, and I mean that makes a difference. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
All right.
And if I know anything about you, Brother Zulu, you are a spiritual man. You are a God-fearing man. And everything that you do, the universal law is at the basis of it. And the administration of it is at the basis of it.
Right.
And so, the laws can be perfect if it's perfectly put to practice.
Right.
But what we're seeing is that most of the law that is put to practice is being administered by somebody who is either sexist, racist, materialistic, but not in the benefit of the people that it's supposed to serve.
Right.
And so when that is failing us and we're failing it.
That's right. That's right.
I believe that the climate of the last 4 years have created more conscious individuals, and I've talked to my son who actually seen a lot of stuff that went transpired within the last 4 years or so, and it always drawn him to the point of wanting to do something more, and and just about how he goes about doing it, I think he's along that mindset that he has to play a pivotal role as he get older into in doing something different for the people. And I think that this will create uh, uh, this will create an eagerness in individuals to become more more along the lines of attorneys wanting to do something to defend people who who have not been defended for countless years. So I think that the climate of the last 4 years and seeing the police brutality and stuff like that, it actually created eagerness in individuals to want to become, attorneys or want to become in a position to try to help out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what you saw during the George Floyd murder and a protest, the uprisings, you saw a lot of attorneys, especially at Houston. I saw a lot of attorneys who were rendering their services for free, who felt inspired to do something and use the gifts that they have been qualified with to serve humanity because of all the injustice. But, we got to make sure that it's not for a moment in time. And to be, they talk about being married to the law, and she's a jealous mistress. And we got to know that this is something that it has to be rooted and deeply embedded in us as it concerns our community. And there's a sacrifice to it. It could be a financial sacrifice, a sacrifice to where the positions, at these white law firms, I'm unemployable. I can't go to a white firm and be employed because if I see something, I'm going to say something.
Right.
Especially when it concerns my people.
Right.
So you just have to have that mentality that you cannot depend on somebody else. But right now, you're right, Brother Bilal. There is an awakening going on, and everybody's crying freedom, justice, and equality. But what does that really look like?
Yeah, I mean, and just to hit back on the issue of spirituality, I mean, spirituality is, that is really important. I mean, I think that, the two of the most important books that was written, right, was Message to the Black Man and the Autobiography of Malcolm X. I mean, I believe that, and other than our holy books, right? Which obviously there's individuals that understand that see those as holy books, and I love architecture, right? I love architecture, and when I look at a beautiful building, I think about, well, it's not just the building, but the blueprint, right? And there's actually the common blueprint no matter what your beliefs are. And this is just my belief is that who had the blueprint to both of those books? Huh?
Right. That's right. It's universal.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a universal law, The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us.
Right.
The first law was motion, then came order, and then undergirded by order is law. And you can't bring order without having law.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it renders everything equal. Minister Farrakhan always talks about the pen, and the book.
Right.
One is lighter than the other.
Right.
But when you use the law of gravity, it renders each other equal.
Right.
And you see the friction when the laws are not administered properly.
New nationally syndicated radio program that's sweeping the nation, and you don't want to miss it. Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali, the voice of justice for the people. The focus of Justice Watch is to provide an honest analysis and viable solutions to the criminal and social justice crisis in America and the world from a Black, brown, working class, and socially disadvantaged perspective, and to motivate listeners to be informed and part of the solution. Zulu Ali is joined by the Justice Crew, consisting of Rosa Nunez, Michael Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, and Charito Ali to tackle the most pressing issues. Host Attorney Zulu Ali is a former police officer, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and an award-winning trial lawyer who focuses on representing persons accused of crimes, immigrants, victims of discrimination, and persons seeking civil justice. Find out how to listen to Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali at justicewatchradio.com. Nubian Pictures presents a CCM Films production documentary entitled Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. This emotional and strong documentary tells the story of African-American lawyer Zulu Ali seeking justice and his purpose as a lawyer while crossing paths with Araceli, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico who is seeking her freedom. Together, they help discover their purpose and freedom in each other. Watch this incredible film today from iTunes Movies, YouTube Movies, Amazon Prime, and Google Play Movies. Learn about the cast and crew, links to purchase, and more at purposeandfreedommovie.com. Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. Available now. Rated G.
I did not feel safe. That's why I decided to come to California, because I didn't feel safe in Mexico.
It's kind of like the system, and if you go outside the system, then it becomes a struggle.
Are you an immigrant seeking defense representation and are looking to protect your rights? Or maybe someone who is experiencing an injustice or discrimination and need a lawyer you can trust? Well, that's exactly why you need the help of award-winning trial lawyer Zulu Ali. The law offices of Zulu Ali provides immigration defense representation for those seeking justice and looking to protect their rights. If you or a loved one needs professional legal advice and representation, then contact Zulu Ali. Zulu Ali's firm focuses on criminal law, family law, civil and personal injury, and international law. Zulu Ali is a former police officer and U.S. Marine, so you know you're in good hands. Serving all of California and immigration cases nationwide, representing victims and suspects at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Call Zulu Ali today at 888-682-3049 or visit ZuluAliLaw.com.
Welcome back to Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali and the Justice Watch crew and our very special guest, Sister Attorney Sadaya Kareem. All right, so I think Rosa had a question for you, sister.
Come on, Rosa, Sister Rosa.
Well, I am in awe of you. Honestly, I really admire you and your work. Really look up to you. And before I ask the question that I'm going to ask, just want to establish that because yeah, I think that it's definitely important for people to kind of get involved in education and kind of give back to the community. But what do we say to people whom perhaps are defeatists, who perhaps look at our current system as something that is working the way that that it should be, and that perhaps it's never going to change since we've seen people being oppressed for over 400 years? What do we say to these individuals whom perhaps have been so disillusioned with the current system that they don't even want to partake and make a change?
So, I believe in giving people wins that they can actually feel and touch. And so individuals who are defeated, period, they haven't had enough wins in their life or be able to see the reality of the wins if they but participate or were represented. So in the legal field, I would go back to the first Black lawyer. I believe his name was Mason Allen in 1844, the first Black woman, Charlotte E. Ray. And when you read their stories, I always talk about how stories are compelling, but for their scholarship, their leadership, and their legal advocacy, then what we see now as far as the laws that help benefit us, affirmative action, you see Plessis v. versus Board of Education, Ferguson rather, and all the lawyers that came after them to help us, then they'll be able to see that the representation is important and that Black lawyers, whether male or female, has fought and advocated for our rights and have died and sacrificed for our rights. So they have to actually see that tangible win for themselves and see themselves in that picture. And then you give them somebody locally, somebody in the community, somebody that they can actually touch and see that have gotten results. That's why for us, Brother Zulu, that testimonies are important. In marketing, people look me up. They want to know that if I hire this woman, will she really get me the results that she says? It's what we do. And again, it's important for Black attorneys to be out there in the community, not just trying to siphon for clients and running after ambulances, but to be able to give back to the community, to show them, to advocate for them. I know NAACP has a program where attorneys volunteer for free their services in Houston through Action CDC nonprofit. Community Development Corporation. We give a lot of free legal advice to people who actually see it. And then people who do get those degrees and those licenses give $1 million representation to those who don't have but $2. So it's not who has the most money for us to represent, but to remember that, the rule of law and being able to administer freedom, justice, and equality and dole out and administrate ourselves and our advocacy in such a way that those who don't have it will be able to receive it. And that's why our representation is important, because if the white man comes and represents our brothers and sisters 9 times out of 10, culturally, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, they're disconnected from us. So they're not going to advocate and fight as hard as I would fight for my clients, because I feel their pain. Been there, done that, been out in the streets, see the hurt and pain of our people and see the injustice that's been inflicted on us. So you best believe I'm going to fight harder. So, but that person, you got to give them some wins and give them some tangible, something that they can see historically and in present time.
Right. That's true.
That kind of it made me reflect on my own past coming up, when someone would actually, I had no concept of self, and someone would actually make me go back when I was in those stoops, when I was on that long vacation in that penitentiary. People would take me back and make me study history to show me that there were great people who actually looked identically like me. When I had no sense of direction, they said, look at this individual. He was the first that did this. He was the first that did that. And that's what made me wanted to come out the gang lifestyle and everything, because I saw something greater than greater than who I was at that particular time. And then there was those individuals who I looked back and said, dang, he was Black, he was African American, and that made me want to do something better for myself. So I can understand that. And I used to literally sit at the round table and hear people engage in conversations, and they used to say certain things, and I was ashamed that I couldn't, be involved with the conversation. So that used to upset me. So I'll go back to my cell, I study on that, and when we came back to that round table again, I would bring that subject back up just to speak on it again. But that was just that was just a testament of how I was able to go back and see people that looked just like me. That was great. And that's what gave me that invigoration, that eagerness to want to learn.
Right.
That's right, Brother Bilal. And what your story sounds just like one of the stories of our dear brother, beloved Malcolm X, who went before Harvard Law and debated individual by the name of Carrington, a lawyer. He didn't have a law degree, but you know what? He debated him under the table with an elementary school education, but he had the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the supreme wisdom. And I have it to my back. When we talk about universal law, that supreme wisdom will elevate all of us to a degree that surpasses any law book that you may have. So that's right, Brother Bilal. So you just keep getting that knowledge and sharing it, and you can debate anybody, but we can debate, but what are we really debating unless we put it into practice?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So that's you had another question, didn't you?
Yes. As a wonderful female lawyer navigating this male impacted career, what are the barriers that you've had to overcome, and what is your advice for young women today whom are perhaps fearful of going into male dominated fields, entrepreneurship, or women whom are constantly told to suppress their womanhood in their fields?
Excellent question, Rose. Excellent question. So, yes. So, again, you see the disparate treatments among women in the field, period, and especially among Black women. Mm-hmm. But, they use the angry Black woman syndrome to try to diminish us or, put us in our place. But one thing I learned, for example, is when my very first court case, I knew the law. I didn't know how to navigate the courtroom. I didn't know the politics of the courtroom. But because I knew what I knew and I was for sure in myself, then I stood on the truth of what I knew. And that very first case, I remember he was a white prosecutor. He was so arrogant to me, very disrespecting, very condescending. But because I was for sure in what I knew, then I stood on that principle. And he had no choice but to dismiss the case because of how I advocated. So sometimes as a woman, we lead with our hearts and our emotions, and that's not a negative thing. So that passion that we have, we should first lead with our heart and our passion and then the truth and the knowledge and the intellect that comes with that. And know that, there is going to be discriminatory practices against us. And we have to be able to navigate the politics through it and be sharp. But the woman is not made like the man. And we got to use that which is our God-given gifts to be able to navigate this. That's why a lot of my clients, their mothers come to me first because they know that I have a passion in my heart as a mother for my clients. Not that I mother them, because believe me, I don't, but because the gifts that I have been given as a woman, I know how to use it and use it to a point so I can advocate effectively for my clients. So I would not try to be a man. I wouldn't try to make myself take on the characteristics of a man to be able to navigate this. I would say to use our God-given talents that God has given us in order to advocate on behalf of our clients. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that that a nation cannot rise no higher than its woman. And when you look at the condition of the man or of the woman, you have to first start with us. Mm-hmm. And so, our spirituality in this field, I can't separate that from us. So let's start there of who we truly are.
I cannot believe we ran out of time. And wow, and this is the last show of it is the last show of the year. And the best way to end it is my favorite guest, Sister Sadaya Kareem. Man, I definitely appreciate you coming on. I really do. I do
and
admire
I love
you.
Y'all.
Yeah, we love you too. Definitely. Yeah, so I can't wait to have you back on here.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Rose, she talks about you every week.
And I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in. See you next week, same time, same place, same channel. We'll actually see you next year. Until that time, stay blessed.
There's a new nationally syndicated radio program that's sweeping the nation, and you don't want to miss it. Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali, the voice of justice for the people. The focus of Justice Watch is to provide an honest analysis and viable solutions to the criminal and social justice crisis in America and the world from a black, brown, working class, and socially disadvantaged perspective, and to motivate listeners to be informed and part of the solution. Zulu Ali is joined by the Justice Crew, consisting of Rosa Nunez, Michael Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, and Charito Ali to tackle the most pressing issues. Host attorney Zulu Ali is a former police officer, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and an award-winning trial lawyer who focuses on representing persons accused of crimes, immigrants, victims of discrimination, and persons seeking civil justice. Find out how to listen to Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali at justicewatchradio.com.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
NBC News Radio, I'm Chris Coraggio.
President Biden is condemning violence in